Good morning and good afternoon. Welcome to another episode of Before Coffee. It is the Friday news dump. Here, we're going to cover every single topic we found that we care to talk about before the weekend, where we'll leave you to the hot autumn of the year, because I don't think it's getting any cooler. For some people, anyways. This is Before Coffee, the father and daughter's comprehensive news of Planet Earth podcast, where we look at the news 10 to 15 minutes before we start without any caffeine in our bodies. So, what's in the headlines? Today on Before Coffee, record summer temperatures set world on course for hottest year ever. And more than 300 bodies, including babies and children, found in a mass grave in Oldham.
So yesterday we talked about Russian television and the Justice Department indictments, and today we'll disclose the names of the useful idiots. And we'll also talk about the California heat wave.
Former EU Brexit negotiator Michel Barnier appointed French Prime Minister. We're actually going to cover who this guy is and what he stands for.
And the FBI conducts raids on two of New York City mayor's aides. And New Zealand's Maori crown a new queen.
Beauty and the Beat. Why do so many models shoot for pop stardom?
And it's National Chianti Day, so have some fava beans and a little bit of liver on September 6, 2024 on Before Coffee.
I can't do that sound. He does it so good. The Hannibal Lecter film. What was it? What's the name? That's not the name of the movie, but it's called something
Silence
else.
of the Lambs.
Yeah, there you go. Silence of the Lambs. But before we have some fava beans and liver, we're going to. This is a weird segue, but we're going to talk about 300 bodies, including babies and children, that were found in a mass grave in the UK. Now, this is usually not where you're seeing mass graves. Most mass graves are in more war-torn, colonized, settled places. So what the hell was happening in Oldham Cemetery? This is from The Independent by Barney Davis. A mass grave containing more than 300 bodies was uncovered in an Oldham cemetery. The majority of the bodies belonged to stillborn babies and children and were found in a 12 by 12 foot grave in Royton Cemetery in the Greater Manchester town. Local councillors said that they were discovered by a woman looking for a twin brother who died in 1962, with one stillborn and other dying within 5 hours of birth. Okay, so there was a lot of stillborns in Oldham for some reason. I wonder why. In a statement, the Royton Independent Councillor said, "My mother and father never saw or held them. They were taken away, and sadly that was the case. Back then, stillborn babies were taken by hospital staff to be buried with a nice person. It is a stark injustice that parents were denied the fundamental right to bury their babies, a right that should be inherent and unquestionable. This situation should stir our collective sense of fairness and empathy." Further checks found the mass grave contained 303 bodies, including 146 stillborn babies, 128 babies and young children, and 29 adults. They said the woman who found the grave was left in tears following the discovery and left her feeling a profound sense of loss and injustice. Imagine the shock and disbelief when our resident discovered that her brother shared a mass grave with 303 others in Royton Cemetery. They said, adding she needed emotional and practical help to cope with the trauma. Councillors added the grave is not the only one of its kind in Royton Cemetery, with one in a Catholic area, a nonconformist area, and one in the Church of England section. The Post questioned how many unnamed babies remained in unmarked graves across the country. They added, only 147 names were online and 156 names were missing. Since we brought this to the attention of the staff at Hollingwood Cemetery, this has now been rectified, and all information for Royton Cemetery is up to date. Okay, so they still had the names. Wait, so the children were born stillbirth, were given names, but they still didn't allow their parents to bury them themselves or do anything. They just like, okay, what's the baby's name? Tom. Okay, well, Tom didn't survive birth. We're taking it away now. Bye. And they just left with the okay. According to the Stillbirth and Neonatal Death Charity, SANS, parents of stillborn babies and those who died in childbirth were not traditionally consulted about funeral arrangements until the mid-1980s. Okay, this is going to be a weird tangent here, but isn't it interesting that until the mid-1980s, people saw stillborn children as objects? Realistically, that's what they're doing here, right? They didn't ask you about anything. They're like, okay, this is this fetus didn't survive utero. You know, we're gonna throw it in a grave. That's the end of that. And now we're living in a day where you can't do anything with your fetus because it's owned by the state now. Or in some places, right? Yeah. You can't even do anything to yourself. You can't take care of yourself. Can't do anything to do that can harm your baby. Bleed. Yeah, there's people who are being arrested and put in prison for stillborn births now, right? You had a stillborn birth. You must have done something wrong on purpose to harm this fetus. Right. You're going to prison.
Right.
At least one person has gone to jail for having stillborn birth. Okay. Before then, parents were not usually involved and many were not told what happened to their baby's body, the charity said. In many cases, they added, stillborn babies were buried in a shared grave with other babies. Some parents who have tried to trace a grave or cremation record of a baby who died some time ago have been successful. Referring to the Royton mass grave, the statement, signed off by councillors Maggie Hurley and Jade Hughes, concludes, "We cannot change what has happened, but we can ensure that the babies born, sleeping, are named, recognized, and never forgotten." I don't know what CLLR means, but I think that's a title, but I don't know what the title stands for. Counselor? Yeah, counselor. Counselor Arusha. I don't know why the British do this. They have really funny, they don't put a dot, you know, like when you put Mr., you put MR dot. They don't do that, so it just says CLLR. So that could be his name, but I think it's Counselor Arusha, leader of the Oldham Council, said they will consider the suggestion being made with a matter of urgency, adding the grave is not newly discovered. Sadly, the burying of people, including babies and children, in unmarked graves happened in graveyards all around the country years ago. Thankfully, things have changed and improved over the years. The government now pays for funeral of stillborn babies and anyone up to the age of 18 if necessary. Public graves are no longer used. The council cemetery staff also works with the funeral director and carry out expressed wishes. The hospital now sells keep records of the burial, which can be located by families whenever they want. Alternatively, the family can make their own arrangements for burial in an individual grave plot via a funeral director and would install their own memorial. SANS is a stillbirth and neonatal death charity. So they're the ones who basically were talking about this and how it's tragic that it happens. Of course, nobody's saying it doesn't matter. But back then, just people were not given autonomy over their own stillborn babies. And unfortunately, that means they were just tossed in a hole somewhere with other stillborn babies. In cooperation with your next story or your next stories, there's going to be one about how hot it is in California, and we're going to talk about how hot it is in the world, specifically the Northern Hemisphere, since it's summer right now, and Europe. Summer temperatures in the Northern Hemisphere were the highest ever recorded, making it likely that this year could emerge as Earth's hottest ever, according to the European Union's Climate Change Monitor. Data from the Copernicus Climate Change Survey S3S on Friday, which is today, the 6th of September, followed a season of heat waves around the world that scientists said were intensified by human-driven climate change. This is on Al Jazeera by, I don't know if anybody wrote it. I think Al Jazeera doesn't credit their writers, so it's just on Al Jazeera. During the past 3 months of 2024, the globe has experienced the hottest June and August, the hottest day on record, and the hottest boreal summer on record, said Samantha Burgess, Deputy Director of C3S. The string of records temperatures increased in the likelihood of 2024 being the hottest year on record, she said. Heat was exacerbated in 2023 and early 2024 by cyclical weather phenomena, El Nino, which warms the surface waters in the eastern Pacific Ocean. Through C3S scientist Julian Nicolas said its effects were not as strong as they sometimes are. Meanwhile, the contrary cyclical cooling phenomenon, known as La Nina, has not yet started, he said. Conversely, moving against the global trend, regions such as Alaska, eastern United States, parts of South America, Pakistan, and the Sahel Desert Zone in northern Africa had lower than average temperatures in August, said the report. The planet's changing climate continues to drive disasters this summer. In Sudan, flooding from heavy rains last month affected more than 300,000 people and brought cholera to the war-torn country. Elsewhere, scientists confirmed climate change intensifies Typhoon Gami, which tore through the Philippines, Taiwan, and China in July, killing more than 100 people. Human-caused greenhouse gas emissions are warming the planet, raising the likelihood of intensity of climate disasters such as droughts, fire, and floods. The temperature-related extreme events witnessed this summer will only become more intense, with more devastating consequences for people and the planet, unless we take urgent action to reduce greenhouse gas emissions. Burgess says government have targets to reduce their country's emissions to try to keep the rise below 1.5 degrees Celsius, which is 2.7 degrees Fahrenheit, under the 2015 Paris Climate Agreement. But the United Nations has said the world is not on track to meet the long-term goals of the deal. Global temperatures in June and August broke through the levels of 1.5 Celsius above the pre-industrial average, a key threshold for limiting the worst effects of climate change. Scientists will not consider that threshold to be definitively passed until it has been observed being breached over several decades. So we'll only know we failed in the next 30 years. The average level of warming is currently about 1.2, according to the World Meteorological Organization, WMO. But C3S said that 1.5 Celsius level has been passed during 13 of the past 14 months. So already for almost not really 2 years, but over a year, they've already passed that average level. In August, the average global temperature of Earth's surface was 16.82 Celsius or 62.28 Fahrenheit, according to the European Monitor, which draws on billions of measurements from satellites, ships, aircraft, and weather stations. So it's getting hot. I know it's hot now. Usually, I'll be honest with you, I always make this joke about the Netherlands. When September hits, it's cold here, right? For me. So probably 60 degrees. That's the normal expectation for September in the Netherlands, at least the 7 years I've been living here. But this year, it's hot. It's 30 degrees, which is 90 degrees Fahrenheit here. And that's not normal for September. Not at all. But anyways, let's go to your stories.
All right. We will cover the heat in a minute, but first we're going to talk about the story we covered yesterday, which was the Justice Department indicting Russian television for basically forming a propaganda network in the United States, and we referred to the company they were funneling the money into as Company One. Well, there's a story identifying, because there's media sleuths that put together clues from these indictments about how many followers, how many users, blah, 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 and the things that were said on the air. So media sleuths have narrowed it down to a company called Tenet Media and all their talent. So it makes complete sense. So this is from an article from the Daily Kos. Oliver Willis of the Daily Kos. Several prominent dailykos.com. Several prominent right-wing media figures and influencers are under fire following the Justice Department's recently unsealed indictment of an alleged Russia-sponsored scheme to influence public opinion. The pundits wrapped in the allegation include, they got a picture of some guy named Benny Johnson here. It looks like Stephen Colbert, kinda. The allegations include Benny Johnson, Tim Pool, Lauren Southern, and Dave Rubin, who are part of the talent for Tenet Media, which CNN confirmed on Wednesday is Company One mentioned in the indictment. The company describes itself as a network of heterodox commentators that focus on Western political and cultural issues. But the Department of Justice alleges that the organization is part of an influence campaign financed by the Russian government. The FBI alleges that the employees at RT, the Russian state-controlled media group, have laundered nearly $10 million through shell companies to Tenet. In this indictment, the FBI pointed out the editorial slant of the company's videos. While the views expressed in the videos are not uniform, the subject matter and content of the videos are often consistent with the government of Russia's interest in amplifying U.S. domestic divisions in order to weaken U.S. opposition to core government of Russia interests, such as the ongoing war in Ukraine, the document reads. In a statement, Attorney General Merrick Garland said the Justice Department will not tolerate attempts by an authoritarian regime to exploit a country's free exchange of ideas in order to covertly further its own propaganda efforts, and our investigation into this matter remains ongoing. The FBI Director Christopher Wray further noted today's action shows that as long as foreign adversaries like Russia keep engaging in hostile influence campaigns, they are going to keep running into the FBI. Tenet media figures often show open support for Russia and its unprovoked invasion of Ukraine, a conflict that, according to U.S. officials, has claimed almost 500,000 lives. Ukraine is the enemy of the United States. Ukraine is our enemy, being funded by the Democrats, Tim Pool said during a stream of his program called Timcast. I've seen this idiot. He clearly is an idiot. Like, just a complete fucking moron with nothing in his head. Holy Christ, what a moron. Holy shit. In a YouTube video earlier this year, Benny Johnson, an alleged serial plagiarist, alleged serial plagiarist, who previously worked for BuzzFeed and the conservative National Review, called for Senate Majority Leader Mitch McConnell to be tried in Guantanamo Bay for supporting aid to Ukraine. Oh, yeah. These guys are serious. Just complete fucking morons. In 2023, when let's just call them what they are, useful idiots. In 2023, when President Joe Biden visited Ukraine and met with President Vladimir Zelensky at the show of support, YouTube personality Dave Rubin promoted the conspiracy theory that air raid sirens during the visit were staged. Now, okay. Lauren Chen, who co-founded Tenet Media with her husband, was fired by conservative publisher Blaze Media following the release of the indictment, which they think she's guilty. Blaze Media was founded by conspiracy theorist and former Fox News host Glenn Beck. Johnson also previously worked for Blaze Media. Yeah. Well, they're susceptible to bribes, is what they are. They have no integrity. When they aren't voicing support for Russia or attacking Democrats, the Tenet media figures have been vocal supporters of Donald Trump and conservative causes. Following the FBI's disclosure, several of the impacted figures sought to distance themselves from the scandal. Johnson said he was just an independent contractor for Tenet and was disturbed by the allegations of the indictment. Describe himself and the other named influencers as victims. Yeah, victims getting millions of dollars. What a victim. He must be terrible. Rubin also claimed to be a victim and knew absolutely nothing about any of this fraudulent activity. You're not a victim, dude. You got paid off to tell fucking lies. You knew they were not news items. They were just your propaganda. Why do you act like you're a victim? You're not a victim. You're not a victim. Pieces of shit. Should these allegations prove true, I, as well as other personalities and commentators, were deserved in our victims. Oh my. Oh, the right wing is a victim cult. It's the victim cult. Oh no, we're all victims. Poole said in a statement. He didn't say all that. The indictment echoes the covert influence campaign waged by the Russian government to assist Trump in 2016 against the Democratic presidential nominee Hillary Clinton. During that race, Trump encouraged Russia to release information that would be harmful to Clinton and assist the campaign. People also forget that the Russians also helped Bernie Sanders, but they never bring that up. They were just anti-Hillary. Following the Russian invasion of Ukraine, Trump had recently, well, now they're anti-Biden because, well, you know, they want Ukraine to lose. Following the Russian invasion of Ukraine, Trump has recently said he would be inclined to allow Russia to do whatever the hell they want to NATO countries that Trump had disagreements with. The Biden administration, along with the international allies, has provided aid to Ukraine meant to fend off Russian aggression. Vice President Kamala Harris has said she would continue support for Ukraine if she wins in 2024. 5 days before Russia attacked Ukraine, I met with President Zelensky to warn him about Russia's plan to invade, Harris said in her August 22nd speech accepting the Democratic presidential nomination. I helped mobilize a global response over 50 countries to defend against Putin's aggression, and as president, I will stand strong with Ukraine and our NATO allies. Okay, so there's an ongoing story. Don't ever think you're being told the truth by right-wing media because they're all in the take. I'm sorry, that's the truth. If you think you're getting the truth from Fox News, just remember they had to pay almost $1 billion for lying about the last election. Right-wing media in the United States is Russia propaganda all around. And it ain't just these guys. And the politicians are afraid to say anything because a lot of them are being blackmailed because they're all doing things in their past they don't want you to know about. Anyway, I'm back to the heat in our hot planet. This is from the LA Times. California broils under punishing heat wave. When will it end? The oppressive heat wave. This is from Summer Lin of the Los Angeles Times. The oppressive heat wave broiling Southern California and the southwestern U.S. is expected to bring triple-digit temperatures to much of the region for at least the next few days. It reached 101 degrees in downtown Los Angeles Thursday afternoon, the first time the local temperature has reached triple digits in 2 years, and is expected to stay in the low 100s on Friday, according to Joe Sherrard, a National Weather Service meteorologist in Oxnard. In the western San Fernando Valley, the temperatures had already reached 115 degrees on Thursday and were expected to be between 110 and 118 degrees on Friday. This isn't out in the middle of the frickin' Mojave Desert. This is the San Fernando Valley, which is, well, it's a valley, of course, but it's right by the coast. It's right by the ocean, which is supposed to be a moderating thing. So temperatures don't normally get this high. The San Gabriel Valley would see temperatures as high as 106 on Thursday and 109 on Friday. So the valleys between the mountains and the coast are trapping all this heat. It is a widespread and dangerous heat event, Sarar said. This is significant in terms of how hot it's going to be and the duration. We have overnight lows that will be very, very, very warm and even hot. So we're looking at the foothill areas are hitting over 90 degrees. But I lived in California back in the 80s. Late 80s. I was in the Marine Corps and I was stationed at a base called 29 Palms. It was always 90 degrees in the middle of the night there. But that's way out in the high desert where the daytime temperatures in the summer routinely were 110. It'll be cooler but toasty along the coast with the thermometers peaking at the upper 70s at the beaches and the low 90s a few miles inland, Sarad said. On Friday, it'll be around 100 degrees in Long Beach. 100 degrees in Long Beach, think about that. That's a beach. It's not a valley. It's got the ocean with the water and the cooling effects and stuff, but still 100 degrees. And 80 degrees on the coast, at the coast. This is 80 degrees at the coast. So I guess Long Beach, the city, is separated by the coast by artificial means or something. To me, Long Beach is a beach. I get it. Southern Californians shouldn't expect a major reprieve until Tuesday, as high temperatures will only tick down to 2 or 3 degrees over the weekend. Valleys will see temperatures up to 112 by Monday, with triple-digit temps also forecast in inland areas closer to the coast. Temperatures are expected to drop Tuesday and Wednesday, reaching levels closer to normal in most areas. Heat waves aren't unusual in September. This month is the warmest of the year for some parts of LA. This is the latest event, still remarkable for its intensity. We wouldn't necessarily get this extreme heat in September, but it can happen, Sierra said. The National Weather Service has issued an executive heat warning for much of Los Angeles area, including the inland coastal plain all the way to Santa Monica Mountains until 8 p.m. Saturday, with dangerously hot conditions and temperatures between 95 and 110 degrees expected. There is a higher risk for heat-related illness for the elderly, young, and those spending time outdoors and without air conditioning. People should drink plenty of fluids, stay in air-conditioned rooms, stay out of the sun, and check on your neighbors and relatives. Young children and pets should be never left in unattended vehicles, officials warn. That goes for any day, particularly when it's 115 outside, as temperatures inside cars can reach deadly levels within minutes. A red flag warning, which means the National Weather Service has high confidence that dangerous fire conditions will materialize, is in effect for southern mountainous region portions of southern Santa Barbara County through Saturday. People should avoid using anything that could spark a fire and prepare to evacuate it if they live in high-risk areas. Sierra cautioned against hiking during extreme heat and said the Santa Monica Mountains are particularly dangerous in this weather. The higher you go in the mountains and foothills, it's actually just going to be just as hot or hotter than the lower level. Plus less air. There's your stories on the hot, hot planet. We'll go hunting down.
Yeah, just to talk about that some more, just a reminder. Last year, what happened? Huge heat wave when we were going through Europe the whole time, remember? And the only time it got cool was when we went all the way to Denmark. Because Denmark was, it was cooler. It was still warm, but it was cooler. And I actually had to take my jacket out for once because I didn't bring a jacket because I thought it was going to be cold. For me, right, this, like I said, the 7 years I've been living here, Europe has been cold in September. It has not been warm, especially northern, the more north you go, So the fact that it was a heat wave in September and late September, not even early, late September, a good indication of where our climate is heading, at least in the northern hemisphere. Okay, for our next story, I'm also doing an update on a story from yesterday, which is there was breaking news, I think 10 minutes before we started the show, that a French Prime Minister has finally been appointed by Macron. But who the hell are they? This is from Eurocitive by Theo Bergerie-Gonts. At long last, President Emmanuel Macron has picked former EU Brexit negotiator and French presidential candidate Michel Barnier to become France's Prime Minister on September 5th. Let me take out my cough drop. 60 days since no clear political majority emerged from the snap legislative elections and hesitation over who can seize control of such a fragmented political landscape, Macron announced yesterday on the 5th of September that he had settled on Barnier. The President of the Republic has appointed Michel Barnier as Prime Minister. He has tasked him with forming a united government to serve the country and the French people. The LC press release reads. In a conversation with Eurocitive last week about the prospects of being appointed, he only said, "I'm not nervous at all," refusing to be drawn on whether he had engaged in talks with the LC. I don't know how to say that. LC. There's an accent over the E. The announcement brings to a close political saga that saw several names floated for the top jobs, strategically leaked. Where did it go? I lost it. I just had it and I lost it. Okay.
Play some music.
The announcement brings to close a political saga that saw several names floated for the top job, strategically leaked by the LDC to protest popular reactions. Oh, okay, so they're just like, hey, what if Tom did it? Nobody likes Tom. Okay, we're not gonna hire Tom. Nobody likes the guy. A longtime right-wing Les Républicains LR figurehead Barnier was a two-time commissioner, a four-time minister in the various French right-wing groups, governments, and the 2022 presidential hopeful. When dubbed by the UK tabloids the most dangerous man in Europe, the former technocrat also made a name for himself as EU-led Brexit negotiator from 2016 to 2021, quoting the ever-famous line, "The clock is ticking." It will now be down to him to put together a government capable of two difficult tasks, surviving a vote of no confidence and laying down a set of policy priorities that pleases parties from both sides of the aisle. We'll also need to get his house in order quickly enough to meet the looming October 1st deadline to presenting a budget bill in front of Parliament. At the far right's discretion, the 73-year-old, who first entered politics in 1973 at the age of 22, will have to fight off accusations from critics that he lacks political legitimacy to take on the top job, given that his Les Républicains LR party lost a third of their seats following the snap legislative elections. But perhaps even more challenging will be how negative the far-right Rassemblement National, RN, who, given current parliamentary arithmetic, now sit as kingmakers, as Barnier sets out to form a viable government. So he needs to make deals with another far-right party. The left-wing Nouveau Front Populaire Union has refused to throw their weight behind any right-leaning government. It gives the RN total discretion over whether and how long they choose to support Barnier by abstaining to vote in a vote of no confidence. You guys, it's all like basically they're saying, this turns out to be a mess. It's all on you. We're not participating. We will judge Barnier by his policy decision and budgetary decision and his actions. We will make a case for urgent issues facing the French people, purchasing power, security, and immigration to be finally addressed, and we reserve all political means of action if these are not taken into account. The RN president and EU lawmaker Jordan Bardella posted on Twitter following the announcement. Barnier, he's anti-RN, but he is hard right. He's known for his serious and old-school demeanor. Has said time and time again he would refuse to engage with the far right, accusing them in an exclusive interview with Eurocitiv in February of still wanting to leave the EU. Why the hell would France leave the EU? No, you can't do that. You can't have France or Germany leaving the EU. That will be the death of the EU. They are literally the two pillars that helped create the EU. So, yeah, not gonna happen, dude. Also, France needs the EU, so it's not just we need them, but they need us kind of idea here. So, it's not a good idea. I'd recommend not trusting them when the RN say they no longer want to leave the EU, he said. They know Europeans wouldn't want that, but deep inside, they have not changed views, and they yearn to turn the EU into some mere international trade union. But in practice, his political views have often resembled and echoed those of the far right. As a contender in the 2021 LR presidential primaries, he ran on a hard right platform with a series of policies that would have marked a direct breach of EU law. This included a moratorium on immigration to freeze the arrival of immigrants in France, bar asylum seekers, which is against human rights, and international students. Oh wow, we don't want any of those international students coming here and getting education. Our education's for French nationals only. I'm sure they mean a very specific set of international students, like Algerians or whatever. And a constitutional shield to lock down French migration policy and decide annual visa quotas, his manifesto read. He eventually came third with 23% of the party vote. First elected to the National Assembly in 1981, voting records show Barnier also opposed the legalization of homosexuality. So, this guy is not a friend to me. I can tell you that much. He might not be a friend to you. And he definitely doesn't not sound like a friend to most progressive, forward-thinking liberals in France. So, only time will tell what's Barnier, well, if Barnier will even get his no confidence vote or surpass that, and if they'll be even in time for this October 1 deadline of presenting a budget bill. So there's still a lot of hurdles for him to cross before he's really the Prime Minister of France. But there you go. That's my update on that
Still
big breaking
hurdles.
news from yesterday.
Funny how they call it a no confidence vote. What a weird thing to call it, right? And they.
Well, it's more. I guess it's like, do we all?
Vote, right?
I think the idea is because the president's the only one who's actually elected by the people. I think. So
Right.
the president is elected by the people, and then so is everybody else in the place, the government body, the parliament. Yeah. And
Parliament. Yeah.
because they're all those people are
Funkadelic.
voted by the people, they're the ones who have the power to approve the prime minister, right? So they have to give oh, we approve of who you picked. Okay, we like him. So, but if they don't have any confidence in him, they'll just say we don't have confidence in him running as the prime minister. So get him out of here, I guess.
Well, it's kind of like, let's put it this way. Let's say Joe Biden would resign, right? And Kamala Harris is the president, right? Automatically, she gets sworn in. But there's no vice president. What has to happen, right? The House of Representatives has to approve a vice president. So it's kind of like the same thing, right? It's like a vice president. And of course, the two houses of parliament, or the two houses in France are Parliament and Funkadelic. That's two George Clinton bands. That's an old-timey 70s joke that only old-timers get. Good old crazy George Clinton. Anyway, is it my story?
Yep. Here you go.
Oh, okay. All right. I sent you a video. You can start it wherever you want. It's a 6-minute video, but just tell me where you're starting it, okay?
Okay.
All right. All right, so we're gonna move on to we have Justice Department subpoenaed indicted two aides to the state house, the governor of New York, and the FBI is searching the homes of aides to the New York City mayor. The FBI clamping down on something for some reason. This is from the ABC7NewYork.com. The FBI came to the homes of two New York City mayor. I'm just to start over. The FBI came to the homes of two of New York City Mayor Eric Adams' closest aides, sources told ABC News, and subpoenaed the cell phones of at least 7 people in the NYPD, including one belonging to Commissioner Edward Caban. The FBI came to the Hamilton Heights home of First Deputy Mayor Sheena Wright in the Hollis, Queens home of Deputy Mayor for Public Safety Phil Banks, where agents asked them to surrender their phones, the sources said. It began Wednesday morning, but the news broke on Thursday afternoon. It's likely they both occurred at dawn on Wednesday. The FBI seized evidence, including electronics from Wright, as part of the investigation, according to the sources. Wright shares her Hamilton Heights home with her partner, schools chancellor David Banks, who is the brother of Phil Banks. So Phil Banks' brother is living with this other city employee. So kind of all in the family type thing. A third brother, independent consultant Terrence Banks, was also probed in some fashion. Ooh, that sounds painful, being probed. No charges have been filed, and the investigation continues by the FBI and U.S. Attorney's Office in Lower Manhattan. On Thursday afternoon, Adams insisted he's confident despite the series of FBI actions reaching deep into his inner circle. I'm not aware of any wrongdoing or misgivings from anyone on my team, Adams said, and we are going to continue to cooperate. Wright and Banks are the highest-ranking Adams administration officials to have their homes searched by federal investigators. A third city official, Tim Pearson, a close advisor to the mayor, appears to have also had his phone subpoenaed. Additionally, one of the police commissioner's Caban's phones was subpoenaed. Edward Caban, a New York Police Department spokesperson, released the following statement. The department is aware of the investigation of the U.S. Attorney's Office for the Southern District of New York involving members of the service. The department is fully cooperating with the investigation. Any questions regarding the investigation should be directed to the U.S. Attorney's Office. Federal agents have previously searched the homes of several other associates of Mayor Adams, who turned over his own electronic devices to the FBI. Okay, what is going on here? I think the most important thing I must do is send the right message to my team and all the employees of the city. We're going to comply with whatever rules, and we're going to follow the law, and we're going to make sure whatever information is needed, we're going to turn over that information. And that is what we've been doing since the beginning. Yeah, I think they're the victims of some kind of data breach, is what I'm thinking, but they don't want it to spread. Brianna Suggs, the federal officials have also previously executed search warrants in the homes of Brianna Suggs, the mayor's top campaign fundraiser, Rana Abba-Silva, the mayor's international affairs aide, Winnie Greco, a special advisor to the mayor and director of Asian affairs. I wake up every morning with the same feelings, commit yourself to the city, and for the entire years of my life, I follow the rules and procedures, Adams said. And you know I'm confident everything is reviewed. We're going to comply with whatever information that's needed and to make sure that this has come to a completion. What is the word salad? The mayor's chief counsel, Lisa Zomberg, released a statement saying investigators have not indicated to us that the mayor or his staff are targets of any investigation. As a former member of law enforcement, the mayor has repeatedly made clear that all members of his team need to follow the law. The source familiar with the matter said the searches do not appear related to the investigation into whether Adams accepted donations from Turkey in exchange for official favors. The FBI declined to comment, and a spokesperson for the U.S. Attorney's Office for the Southern District of New York also declined to comment. We're not going to tell you what we're investigating. Neener. You can't get it from us. We're not going to tell you. You'll see it when the indictments come out. How about that? In other news, all the way down under New Zealand, way up there in the underside of the globe. This is from DW.com. Deutsche Welle, actually, is a person's name, and that's DW too. So maybe that's the name of the person's site and the name of the person who writes these things. But anyway, DW.com. New Zealand's Maori crown new queen. The chiefs of New Zealand's Maori tribe, the indigenous people of the country's mainland, anointed a 27-year-old as their new monarch on Thursday in a break from tradition. Thousands cheered as Naga Wai Hano Iti Po Paki. That's several words, by the way. It's not just one long one. Sat in the throne of the ceremony in the country's North Island. Nagi was the youngest daughter of Nga. How do you pronounce that? Nga? The A silent, maybe. Is the daughter of King Tuhatia, who died on Friday after heart surgery. The New Zealand Herald reported that she was favored and long groomed to take the throne after her father. However, her appointment was not set in stone, as she is the late king's youngest child and only daughter. The new ruler is chosen by the heads of the community's tribes on the day of the previous monarch's funeral. Local media reports suggest that Tuhetia's eldest son was initially tipped to be the next monarch, but Nagawai, if that's how you pronounce her name, emerged as a possible successor in recent years. It is certainly a break from traditional Maori leadership appointments which tend to succeed to the eldest child, usually a male. Maori cultural advisor Karatiana Haruru told the AFP news agency. He said it was a privilege to witness a young Maori woman become a queen. She is the 8th monarch and the 2nd woman to hold the position. The first Maori monarch queen was her grandmother, Te Arikini Te Atararangakugukuhu, who died in 2006. The king or queen's position is largely ceremonial and doesn't enjoy legal powers, but holds significance in the community. Once the council of tribal heads selected the young queen, she was escorted to her wooden throne by a platoon of tattooed, bare-chested men who held ceremonial weapons. They chanted and screamed in praise and applause. Adorned in a wreath of leaves, a cloak, and a whalebone necklace, Nagawe sat beside her father's coffin while ceremonious rites took place. Tuhetia has been laid in state for 6 days and now be taken to his final resting place on the slopes of the sacred mountain Piri. Crowds gathered. That's from the late king died days after heart surgery at the age of 69. The selection comes amid mounting challenges the Maori community faces, one of which is aging leadership. The Maori would have been yearning for younger leadership to guide us in the world of AI, genetic modification, global warming, and in a time of many other social changes that question and threaten us and indigenous peoples of New Zealand. Kaiaru said. Kaiaru. I don't know. The Maori community makes up 17% of New Zealand's population. Studies and data show they are more likely than other citizens to be unemployed and live in poverty. Another challenge is life expectancy for the Maori people, which is 7 years less than other New Zealanders, facing greater chances of suffering from cancer, heart disease, diabetes, and suicide. So, in a far out corner of the globe we don't think about much, New Zealand crowns a queen. But as we say here, we are the comprehensive news of planet Earth. Back to you.
For our culture segment, we're going to look at why models want to become pop stars. Not all of them. We're not saying they're all the same, but there's an interesting trend that I think Shad D'Souza on The Guardian will be looking at on all these pop stars who actually started out as models to begin with. Sam Fox managed it, but Naomi Campbell didn't. As Paris Hilton assails ears with a new album, we look at the checkered history of models in pop from Grace Jones to Kim Kardashian. The punk said that anyone can be a musician, but for proof that this may not be true, play Kim Kardashian's 2000 level single Jam, Turn It Up, a pop EDM track that is somehow lethargic, alienating, and overstimulating at the same time. You can't blame Kardashians for trying their hand at pop, of course. Music history is littered with models, socialites, and tabloid figures who thought that making a record was their ticket to lasting celebrity, or indeed, who genuinely thought that they possessed musical talent worth sharing with the world. For every Karen Elson who parlayed modeling into a successful career as an out-country darling, there is a Tyra Banks, whose reported 6-year attempt to break into pop produced only one song, the woeful Shake Your Body. Nonetheless, model turned singer is the career pivot that refuses to die. This month sees the release of Paris Hilton's second album, Infinite Icon, her follow-up to 2006's reviled and eventually reassessed Paris, which gave us the now cult single Stars Are Blind, as well as a new album from Suki Waterhouse, whose music career has been so outrageously successful with 500 million streams and counting on Spotify alone. This is likely much of her Gen Z fan base doesn't even know about her past life as the face of Burberry. If you have this kind of fame, why wouldn't you parlay in something that could make more money, says Rich Zazuak, a critic who has written extensively about Hilton's extended business ventures. For a lot of people, it's probably not that different from investing in real estate. You get a little bit of more public ego kickback, but I think it's just a way of diversifying your portfolio, predicated on the belief that this will be easy. Yeah, I'll just drop an album and everyone will love it because they love me. Jazuiak says Samantha Fox is the only model turned musician who has launched a viable pop career, scoring a number 3 single with Touch Me, I Want Your Body in 1986. She was always so dismissed, but she's the actual template. And I think the reason why is because she learned so much into the thing. He says of her frequent topless appearances in The Sun, she was a woman who was highly sexual in public and said, okay, what if I did that sonically? And it totally worked. Grace Jones was even more successful in finding music to match her dramatic, even fearsome appearance. Her recording career had stretched from the late 70s to present day. Tailoring the music to the narrative of her career, as Jazuiak said, tends to work better than simply picking an A-list producer and praying for chart impact. When the US model, actor, tabloid figure, artist, podcaster, designer, and author Julia Fox released her debut single, Down the Drain, this year, it felt more like a curio, born out of sincere desire to create something outre, than a bid for pop stardom. True to the song's grimy, art kid aesthetic, Fox debuted the track at Charlie XCS's hyped Boiler Room show in Brooklyn and reportedly blew out the speakers. A Bianca Jagger at Studio 54 moment for the terminally online Zoomer crowd. Okay. Terminally online Zoomer crowd. Okay. For the most part, though, because they don't know what... I think that was a stab at, like, kids don't know what blowing out the speakers means, I guess. I have no idea what that was. For the most part, though, models turned musicians are usually aiming for the top of the charts. But it doesn't always go too well. In 1994... 4 years after she appeared on Vogue's iconic Supermodels cover, Naomi Campbell released Baby Woman, her first and so far last album. Pop producers including Gavin Friday, Tim Simeon, Youth AK, Martin Glover, not to mention a video in which Campbell looks typically gorgeous in the company of elephants, were not enough to save it from a commercial oblivion. It failed to chart at all in the UK. Glover says that success is never a guarantee when you're making a pop record. Even if you are one of the most famous people in the world. It's like when Mick Jagger does a solo album and nobody buys it. When working with Campbell on Baby Woman, one on a cover of Sunshine on a Rainy Day, which he wrote in 1990 with his then wife Zoe, Glover operated out of a 5-room studio in Brixton and employed about 15 staff. I'd never seen the place so excited than when Naomi Campbell came in. The whole place was jumping. Someone who has that kind of reach. There's a sort of an enchanted air around them, he says. The star of the day, it turned out, wasn't Campbell. What even eclipsed Naomi's charisma and buzz was her mother. She was almost even more beautiful than Naomi, and charming as well. It was great fun. Contrary to the assumption many may have of non-musicians who turn to music, Glover says Campbell could basically hold a tune. This was in the days before autotune, and was easy to work with, despite her formidable reputation. She was very easy to direct, and I mean she's not Celine Dion, but then nor is Brigitte Bardot, who had hits in her native France with Sergei Gainsborough. The song wasn't ambitious enough to make it difficult, and she sang it with some emotion. That's great. Not every musician who has been drafted in to work on a record with a model or socialite says the same. When reached for comment for this article, one songwriter who worked on Hilton's first album said they would politely decline, as our mothers always taught us. If you don't have anything nice to say, don't say it at all. The Lemonheads' Evan Dando, on the other hand, says he spent 20 years doing coke and hanging out with models, so I know a lot about the subject. A longtime friend of Kate Moss, he and the producer Gibby Haynes enlisted the legendary model to sing the Dutch electrono duo Arling and Cameroon's Dirty Robot on the Lemonheads' 2009 covers album. Kate is smart. She's like the girl next door. She's beautiful, yes, but I think it's her brain, really. That got her where she is, Dando says. Moss, he adds, would rather listen to music than make it, but has nonetheless been involved in projects with bands such as Oasis, Primal Scream, and Baby Shambles, the solo project of her ex-boyfriend Pete Doherty. She would rather put her leg up and pretend it's a guitar. She gets into fan mode, Dando says. If we'd been in Jamaica, she'd be the one sitting up all night singing with me. She'd love singing the Velvet Underground Sweet Jane over and over again, or making up new lyrics to my favorite things from The Sound of Music. She can do it visually really well. Once a Natalie Imbruglia song came on and she went away and got dressed up like her and made her hair look like her. Yeah, she's like more of a performer. I mean, she's a model, but she's not really an artist. And that's just like normal people, honestly. Is that not normal to enjoy dancing and singing? I guess.
Sure.
Yeah. Dando cites the flame-haired Lancastrian Elson as a prime example of a model who has a heartfelt artistic drive to make music. All pretty girls like to take pictures of their feet. Doesn't mean they're a photographer. I've never heard that saying before. The new one. All pretty girls like to take pictures of their feet. I don't. But maybe it's because I don't like my feet are not pretty to look at. The people who don't have the talent, they're going to stick with it. But the ones that really have the talent, they'll just do it. Commitment is what separates the wheat from the chaff when it comes to the transition to pop, says Juzwiak. He cites Hilton's Stars Are Blind, a hit but not as an inescapable smash at the time it was released. The song is good, but I don't think Paris Hilton is the thing that makes the song good. She delivers it. She didn't fuck it up. Whereas I could totally hear Gwen Stefani singing that song and owning it, because she has the pop that makes her very captivating. Clearly, there's far more than pop stardom than looking great on camera. You've got it or you don't, Juzwiak concludes, and you find out real soon after entering the stage whether you have it or not. That's right, that's why I'm not a pop star, because I don't have it. I don't want to be on stage. I want to be in the background. I want to be the person controlling the lights on stage, okay? That's what I want to do. But I love singing, maybe not performing so much. I know. Ironically, I'm on a stream, which is, in a way, we are performing here. This is a performance, even if we're trying to keep it real 100%. We're still performing for the camera. And some of us aren't as great as others. But that is my culture article here about pop stars or models becoming pop stars. And the very many unsuccessful ones, I guess.
I remember Samantha Fox.
Mm-hmm.
Well, she did have a successful career. I mean, she had a hit.
Did she? Okay.
Great. So it's matters of glitchy again. Am I glitchy again? Is that what you're saying?
No, you're fine. We're ready for this day in history.
Okay, so this day in history. This day in 1792, the French Revolution was going on. The French revolutionary leader Georges Danton Georges Danton was elected deputy for Paris to the National Convention of them head choppers. 1860, American social reformer and pacifist Jane Addams was born. She was a co-winner of the Nobel Peace Prize for 1931, along with Nicholas Murray Butler. In 1914, French and British forces launched an offensive against advancing Germans in the First Battle of the Marne during World War I. 1944, Germany fired its first long-range V-2 missile at an Allied target during World War II. Yeah, they got tired of the V-1. They went right to the V-2. Big old rocket science. The first war rockets, I guess you could call them. 1966, South African Prime Minister Heinrich Verwoerd was stabbed to death. Verwoerd. South African Prime Minister Heinrich Verwoerd was stabbed to death by a temporary parliamentary messenger who was later ruled insane. Of course, Verwoerd rigorously developed and applied the policy of apartheid. So he was not a great guy anyway. So, oh well. An apartheid racist was stabbed to death in this day.
Oh, darn.
1966. The guy who invented it, basically. So screw him. 1991, the Soviet Union recognized the independence of the Baltic states, Estonia, Latvia, and Lithuania. And the Soviet Union wasn't around much longer after that itself. 1995, American professional baseball player Cal Ripken played in his 2,131st consecutive game, surpassing Lou Gehrig's record, which had stood for more than 56 years. He played baseball. In 1997, about a week after her death in a car accident, a funeral was held for Princess Diana. An estimated 2.5 billion watched the televised ceremony, which included a performance by Elton John. 2007, Italian operatic lyric tenor Luciano Pavarotti, who was considered one of the finest bel canto opera singers of the 20th century, died at the age of 71. 2019, Zimbabwe politician Robert Mugabe died at the age of 95. He was a longtime ruler of Zimbabwe, first as prime minister from 80 to 87, and then as president from 87 to 2017. And also leaders dying news. And this day in 1901 is our featured event. U.S. President William McKinley was fatally shot. That's right, he was shot on September 6th. The 25th President of the United States was shot in this day in 1901 by Leon Czolgosz, an anarchist at the Pan American Exposition in Buffalo, New York. McKinley died 8 days later. Our feature biography, John Dalton, British scientist, born in September 5th or 6th in 1766. And he died in 1844 on July 27th in Manchester, England. Other birthdays besides Jane Addams, who was born in 1860, we brought up. 1888 is the birthday of Joseph P. Kennedy. He's the patriarch of the Kennedy clan, the father of JFK and RFK and Eddie. And 1925 is the birthday of Jimmy Reed. That's right, Jimmy Reed. Jimmy Reed, blues singer, guitarist, who was in 1964 UK number 45 single Shame, Shame, Shame. He also wrote Big Boss Man, Bright Lights, Big City. Major influence on the Rolling Stones, Elvis Presley. And Elvis Presley covered Baby, What You Want Me to Do. Reed died on August 29th, 1976. Also the birthday of Roger Waters. Roger Waters, singer-songwriter, bassist, and co-founder of Pink Floyd. Following the department of Syd Barrett in 1968, over time, Waters became the band's principal lyricist. Waters left Pink Floyd in 1985 and released a series of successful solo albums. He also authored an opera, Cara. As the most active of all Pink Floyd members, he has toured extensively as a solo act since 1999. We know Roger Waters is. Another brick in the wall. Also, birthdays today. Harley Farina, American business executive and politician. She was the head of Hewlett Packard for a while. 1962, the birthday of Chris Christie, American politician, former governor of New Jersey. And Dutch politician Geert Wilders was born on this day in 1963. Sorry?
It's Geert. You say G's like H.
Yeah. Oh, it's Geert? Okay.
Yeah, Geert
Well,
Wilders.
anyway,
Yeah.
Happy birthday. Happy 61.
Well, not happy. He's a terrible racist and xenophobe, but you know.
Okay. Well, unhappy then. He's still 61 today. At least he's not a serial killer, as far as we know.
Yeah. No, I don't think so either.
National days today. It's National Read a Book Day. And if you're a Trump supporter, books are them things with words in them. You know, they're kind of heavy, kind of hard. Sometimes they're hard. They got pages and stuff. They got words printed on them. Really interesting things. It's also National Coffee Ice Cream Day. Anything with ice cream is good. National Lazy Moms Day. That's what if you're a lazy mom. She's probably sitting on the lazy boy. And I'm
sure lazy moms aren't even lazy. Just the standard for being a mom is so high that if you don't hit that standard, you're basically a piece of trash to some people, you know?
She doesn't look like she's being lazy other than just laying in bed, which is what I do.
Lazy moms don't exist, is the truth.
It's national.
And that's why you should celebrate yourself. You're lazy, sure, whatever.
Yeah, I'm lazy. Fuck it. I don't mind being lazy. National Food Bank Day. So either donate food to the food bank or just go down to the food bank. If you got no food, no money, I'll be there. I'll be there soon. My hand out at the food bank. And it's National Chianti Day. Hannibal Lecter's favorite wine, as we already discussed. The Hannibal Lecter clip is I just don't think it's that great of a clip. I was going to put the clip, but I was like, all right, it's 45 seconds. It really doesn't hold up for me. It doesn't hold up. It is not as scary. Watching it again. To me, anyway. It just seemed kind of poorly acted. Is that the word? Yeah, it seemed like poorly acted. And I could never get over... For that movie, I could never get over Jodie Foster's fake Southern accent. I could never get over it. Sorry. She just didn't have the right accent. It just ruined her character for me. Not that she's a bad actress or anything, but maybe not try to talk with an accent you can't do. Anyway, those are stories for today. September 6th, a Friday news dump. September 6th, 2024, and before coffee ice cream.
Okay, this has been Allison here from the Netherlands. Keep yourselves cool during this heat wave that's happening everywhere in the Northern Hemisphere. And get ready
Where you start the video?
The weekend. Oh, have a good, safe weekend. Have some good time. Celebrate your lazy lifestyle because being lazy isn't bad. It's not immoral, in my opinion. Overworking doesn't make you better than everyone. And I'm starting the video at like 1 minute. So here. Oh wait! Don't forget to subscribe to our channel. Now 100 subscribers deep, so we're heading to the stars. We can only go up from here. And turn on the notifications so you know when we go live and post a video. And like this video if you enjoyed learning about all the things we talked about today, which were so immeasurable amount of things on this Friday news dump. And let's go to that mic drop moment.
Words. When did you start at 1 minute?
1 minute.
Big boss man. Jimmy Reed only made it to 51. That's not very old.
Wow.
Yeah. 1976 he did.
Waking around the cloud. I wanna live
I love the camera operating here. What's the sudden looking at the guitar? What is
jumpy,
that?
Huh?
The camera, right? It's like, look at the guitar. Look at the guitar.
I'm gonna get epilepsy. Zoom.
It's there still.
Man, that's a weird technique, right?
Yeah, it's very jarring technique.
We get to the part where he plays harmonica anyway.
Nice harmonica. Bring the harmonica back. It's a good instrument. More people should play it.
It never went anywhere.
No, but I mean, you don't hear it in pop music, do you? That's what I'm saying. They should bring harmonica to pop
you
music.
Don't, man. You can sing, play guitar and harmonica. You don't even need a band. You can tap your foot for, the percussion.
Such an interesting stage effect in the background.
Color. Yeah. Probably psychedelic to the people there live who see in color. But black and white television couldn't give you the acid trip you wanted.
Yeah.
Everybody there is time their drugs just right, but people on TV are a shit out of luck. Keep watching.
Must be green for the green screen, I think.
Television host. This is a European show. I think it might be in Germany.
Be sure to hit the like, subscribe, and notify buttons, and follow our other channels, Toxic Alley, History of Gravy, and Scratchy Old Records.